Hey everybody, it's Dan, your friendly fishmonger at dansfish.com, and today I'm going to show you some new fish. One of them I've never had before. I've been looking for a few years for it. It's the purple sailfin gudgeon. I'm very excited about that one. Let's start there. Also have some archer fish and neat gobies, some rice fish, and other stuff to show you. So hold on to your hats, we're going in. Alright, these first ones I'm very excited about. This is the purple sailfin gudgeon. I've been looking for these for a couple of years, and so I'm glad to finally have some in for you. The scientific name is Rhinogobius Nantynensis. They come from China. They come from the same latitude in China as like southern Texas, northern Mexico, but with the Pacific Ocean there, it's a lot cooler. So the temperature where they come from, the land temperature, in the lows it gets down to about 35, and the highs are up in the high 80s, 86 degrees or so. Supposedly, their water temperature, according to Aquarium Glacier, ranges from about 50 to 86 degrees Fahrenheit, but with lows down to the 35s, I bet that water in the winter could get colder as well. So they have a very wide temperature tolerance, which is pretty cool. Makes them easy to keep. I found them to be very hardy. I don't think we've lost a single one, and very, very pretty. Simple to feed. They eat algae wafers. Here they're eating Hikari Massivore Delight pellets, a big sinking pellet. They eat bloodworms, they eat brine shrimp, they eat nano pellets, they eat flakes. They'll pretty much eat anything. They're an omnivore, which is awesome. Makes them easy to keep. Now, we've known about this species. It was scientifically described back in, I think, 1935, 1936. But it's only very recently that they've been available to aquarists in the United States. So I'm thrilled to have finally been able to get some in. I have a friend that was able to bring some in a couple years ago, and I've been super jelly ever since. So my turn finally. These are a gudgeon. They're closely related to gobio, which is a gudgeon native to like Europe and things like that. They're from the cyprinid family, so fairly closely related to things like danios and rasboras and other cyprinids. What they remind me of a lot is a gara. Think of your average gara, but with that awesome sail fin and quite a bit of color. Most gara are fairly plain, but these guys take gara and make them purty. Here we are looking at the best batch of Burmese clouded archerfish that I've ever brought in. Often when you bring in Burmese clouded archerfish, that's Toxotus blythi is the scientific name. Often when you bring them in, they've been through the supply chain, and they come in emaciated, and it takes a long time to get them healthy and ready to go. These guys came in good shape, good body weight, excellent health. I don't think we've lost a single one of these either, and ready to go. So these aren't huge. They're about 1.5 inches to 2 inches, but that's good. They're very easy to ship at that size. Now, I've had these for a while. Another batch I've kept for years, and mine are about 5 inches. They were in a 125-gallon aquarium with lots of filtration, nightly water changes of about 30–40%, so good water quality and things, and they never got above 5, maybe 6 inches. So I've read online that these can get 8 inches or so, but I don't know if that's true, and I've never seen them get that big. So I would say around 6 inches is probably safe to bet on. That's what I've experienced. Now this next fish is a special medaka, a Japanese rice fish. This is the Tancho. Now it's called Tancho because of that orange up on the head. It's pretty much a white body with orange up on the head, and that's reminiscent of a Tancho koi, which is why these are called Tancho rice fish. Now they're just as hardy and fun and easy to breed and spawn and raise as all the other medaka rice fish out there, and so not a big challenge there. Maybe a little pricier. And I wouldn't say they look exactly like a Tancho koi. Don't expect that round red moon kind of dot right up on top of the head. But they are pretty much a white fish with an orange head, or orange front. Sometimes it extends beyond the head. This is another new rice fish, at least new to me. This is another medaka strain, but this is the Rinco, and it's like I would say like a Miyuki rice fish. It's got that bright neon reflective dorsal stripe across the back, but it also has some lamé spotting on it. So to me it looks like a mixture of Miyuki with some lamé. Not heavily lamé, but enough that it's a very pretty attractive little spotting on the sides. Doing great. Again, just like the rest of the Medaka, easy to keep and breed and raise and enjoy. Very hardy, and they eat everything. Right now they're feasting on this is an extreme bottom scratcher pellet to get some veggies in them, but they eat everything. All right, when I finally was able to find some of these higher strain Japanese rice fish, I went a little wild, so I bought several. So I've got a couple more to show you. This one is called Tenyo No Mai. Tenyo No Mai is the name of a dance that is performed in ancient No theater in ancient Japan. No theater was like a sacred form of theater that developed in the temples back in the day before Kabuki theater came around. And these fish are named after that dance. Now, I don't know why they're named after that dance. It's probably because of how you kind of see them moving right now, or if you see two males sparring or displaying for a female, it's this very kind of flamboyant dance. So maybe that's where it comes from, but either way, they're a pretty fish, just as hardy and beautiful and easy as the other strains we've seen. But I'm glad to have them. I'm glad to have some pure strain, kind of higher quality Japanese rice fish. I've been looking, and it's good to get some. All right, let's take a quick break from the rice fish. We've got a couple more rice fish to show you, but for now, let's take a break and show you some of these. These are Albino Threadfinicara. This is hands down the best batch I've ever had. Often when they come in, they're small, around an inch, and you have to take some time raising them up. These came in at 2.5 to 3 inches. Good size, big enough that they're already getting some of their nice orange and red colors, some of their pearl dots on the fins and things. They aren't just a plain white like the smaller ones come in, so you can already see their potential. Now, these still have a lot of growing to do, and when they get bigger, they're going to be absolutely breathtaking. If you want to see what the large ones look out, check out TM Aquatics YouTube channel. He has a few videos that he did a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago now, where you can see what these grow into. Absolutely stunning fish. This batch has been hardy and it's doing wonderful, so I think they're ready to go. All right, here we have another form of Medaka. This is the Yokihi Red. Honestly, they're more orange. They do have some really dark orange to red marginal lines up the sides of the caudal fin, but in this industry, anything that has some orange or yellow on it is often called red, and that's the case here too. So they're called Yokihi Red, but think orange. And these are, as a former theater professor, I love these Japanese rice fish because this one is named after a 15th century No play, another Japanese play. In this play, there's an emperor, and the play's about his love for his concubine, who's named Yokihi. So there's all these passages in this ancient No play where the emperor describes the beauty of this lady that he's in love with, this concubine. And so, you know, I guess these were pretty enough to be named after her. So that's where they get their name from. Sorry for the theater history geek out, but when else am I going to get a chance to do that on a fish channel, right? Well, here are some Geophagus. These are the Redhead Tapa Hoes. We've had the albino form, and we also have this form. They're beautiful, especially as they grow out. You can see a couple of these. There's a few in there that are getting 2.5 inches or so, and are starting to show their color and their pattern coming in, but it's nothing even close to what they're going to get as they get larger. And the smaller ones that are around an inch, inch and a quarter or so, you know, there's just some banding on those. There's no color there yet. But worth a quick Google, Redhead Tapa Hoes, to see what these look like when they grow up. They're exquisite. And this is a nice one. A lot of Geophagus are quite pricey. This is one that's just as beautiful as the expensive Geophagus, but doesn't break the bank. So if you're thinking about getting into Geophagus for the first time, this, along with the red hump Geophagus and the Nantynensis, are probably good options just because they're beautiful, they're hardy, and they're not super expensive. All right, one last rice fish. I promise this is the last rice fish of this video. These are not Medakas, not Japanese rice fish. These are a different one completely. These are the Java rice fish, Oryzius javanensis, I think is how you say it. And they're Very hardy as well. The difference is these come from a more tropical climate, so these can't go down in temperature. These need to be kept in the 70s or low 80s to be happy. Just as hardy besides that, though, as long as they're kept warm, they'll eat anything. Right now they're eating, I think this is also an extreme bottom scratcher pellet because we wanted to get some vegetable matter into them. A lot of algae and goodies, healthy stuff like that in these pellets. And as you can see, they absolutely mob it. But they'll eat flakes, they'll eat frozen foods, they'll eat gel foods, live foods, whatever. They have that bright glowing eye. They remind me a lot of a lamp-eyed killifish. In fact, back in the day, these rice fish used to be classified as killifish. Oryzius was in the killifish group. Now, since then, we learned a lot several decades ago, and they got split out. They're their own thing now, but they used to be considered killifish, and you can see why. If you compare these with the lamp-eye killies, it's pretty clear that they look very similar. They are different from killifish in their mode of reproduction, though. These guys, the female will expel a whole bunch of eggs, and she'll carry them around like a cluster of grapes on her vent until she's ready to attach them to some plants, and that's really cool to watch. Alright, we're done with the rice fish, I promise. Here is a Rhinogobius. Now, Rhinogobius are a form of goby that is a predator, but they're not big. They top out at 2 to 3 inches or so, and so you can keep them with other fish as long as they're not small enough to fit in their mouths. The biggest one we have right now is maybe around 2 inches, 1.5, 2 inches, and the others are more like an inch, inch and a half. They have the suction cup fins just like the other gobies do. They like to perch on stuff. They like little crevices and hollers and stuff that they can claim as their own and hang out in. But they aren't super shy. They will come out. If you're around, they'll come say hi. They'll beg for food. And they are easier to feed than a lot of gobies. Some of the other predatory gobies, like the Sicyopus and Lentipus, I've found to be a little difficult to get to eat prepared foods. These you can train to eat prepared foods without any problem. They also love frozen bloodworms, frozen brine shrimp, live foods, and all that stuff. But they'll be trained to eat flakes and pellets without too much trouble. It takes a little time, but they'll definitely do it. So that's kind of the advantage to these guys over some of the more predatory kind of grazing type gobies such as Lentipus and Sicyopus. Now this is a beautiful little barb. A lot of barbs are trouble. We all know that tiger barbs can be aggressive. We all know that they get pretty big and that they absolutely mob the food and can prevent other fish from eating. These are a barb that doesn't do that. This is the dwarf golden barb or golden dwarf barb. The scientific name is Penthea gellius. They are from India, Nepal, Bangladesh, that area. And they only get an inch to maybe an inch and a half, and they are not a boisterous, aggressive fish at all. These are one that would do well with a lot of your slower feeders. I'm thinking of things like some of your gobies that can get out competed. I'm thinking of things like certain gouramis that are slower to the food, chocolate gouramis, things like that. Other fish that just need some dwell time with their food and are easily outcompeted. These will go well with those. I've successfully kept these with several types of small hypencistrus plecos, and they act as good dithers for those plecos, helping the plecos feel more comfortable, but not outcompeting them for the food. So I really like this fish because it's a barb, but it's not aggressive, it stays small, and it's a great community member. And that brings us to the final fish of this tour. This is Rhinogobius Nantynensis. I think I'm saying that right. Nantynensis, something like that. And just another beautiful little predatory goby. Predatory doesn't mean aggressive or doesn't mean you can't keep them with other fish. It just means in the wild they tend to eat crustaceans and little shrimps and little critters. So they need protein in their diet. But like the other ones, the Similis we looked at earlier, these can be easily trained to eat prepared foods as well. They love bloodworms though, one of their favorites. Anyway, I like these. They have a little more color, I think, than the Similis. I like the markings on the face, those stripes around the eye that originate from the eye and kind of radiate out. Neat little flavor of Rhinogobius. So there you have it. Those are the new fish that we have here at dansfish.com. Wanted to let you know every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, we do a live stream on YouTube. And you can join us. You can ask us questions about any of these fish or about keeping fish, breeding fish, raising fish, how to set up an aquarium, all that stuff. So if you want to come hang out and geek out about fish, that's where we'll be. Until next time, I hope you have a good one. Bye-bye.